What's up, YouTubers? This is the Father-Son Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Paul.
My name is Justin, and we are doing another This Guy or That Guy. Today we have a good one for you guys in drafts that are going really close. But before we get into who we're saying, which you probably saw by the title, we are a podcast first. Go check us out in the description below. We have a link to our podcast on all these sites. We are on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and we are also on Podbean. So type us in on any of those apps. You'll find us, or it's in the link in the description below. Follow me on Twitter at JustinFSFF. Follow the podcast Twitter at FatherSonFF for updates of when we go live and when we post our stuff. And we also have had some great guests on that. You can't deny that.
Oh, we've been having some great guests on.
We have some great team previews we're doing with them. And this is a really tough decision for me in drafts. Is JuJu Smith-Schuster, the young, talented guy with all this upside, or old Mr. Consistency? It's the opposite of the two spectrums. Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas gets it done every year, and JuJu is a guy who has lots of upside. Since I am the younger one here, I'm going to be taking JuJu Smith-Schuster on this argument, and my dad's going to be taking Demaryius Thomas. But before we get into it, subscribe if you're new. We have a lot of these videos coming out. We hope you guys enjoy them. Give the video a like. It helps us out more than you think. And then we're also doing a subscriber league. As of the time of recording right now, there's only 2 spots left. So comment hashtag subscriber league in your comment whenever you tell us who you rather have, and that gets you entered into the raffle system. That gives you 1 point, and there's also a 10-point option to get into the subscriber league, and that is writing a 5-star review on iTunes. So, Dad, you can go. First off, what people want to know probably is where are these people going in drafts. So according to Fantasy Football Calculator, we use that for ADP over Fantasy Pros. It's better in my opinion, and they're going back-to-back, 17, 18, the 403 and the 407. Demaryius Thomas is going as the 17th wide receiver.
That's a tough choice right here.
And JuJu is going as the 18th wide receiver, and I think it comes down to roster construction at this point. But we're going to go from a vacuum standpoint of who you'd rather have, Demaryius Thomas or JuJu Smith-Schuster. So, Dad, the floor is yours. Who would you rather have? You're taking Demaryius Thomas. Tell us why you want Demaryius Thomas over JuJu Smith-Schuster.
I think Thomas is a solid, safe pick. Age and QB play led to his fade and decline in the status of Thomas over the last 2 seasons. In 2017, he finished with 83 catches for 949 yards and 5 touchdowns. Look, the 5 touchdowns was a disappointment, but in saying that, he had less than 1,000 yards for the first time since 2011. But still, he managed a top 20 wide receiver despite lousy quarterback play last year. After scoring 35 touchdowns from 2012 to 2014 with Peyton Manning behind center, Demaryius only had 16 touchdowns over his last 48 games. He saw a string of 5 straight seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards, and last year, like I said, his yards per catch, which was 11.4, was his career low with 4 seasons of fade. So the last 4 years, he's been dropping a little bit. Over the last 6 seasons, Thomas has a minimum of 140 targets per season while never missing a game in 2017. Demaryius only had 1 game with over 100 yards receiving, where he had 10 catches for 133 yards. He had 5 catches or more in 12 contests, which sets a high floor for most weeks. With a better QB play this year, Thomas will regain some of his lost value in 2018. I'm going to set the bar for you right now. I'm going to say he's going to have 90 catches for 1,100 yards and about 7 touchdowns.
Wow. That's a big statement again.
I mean, he's as solid as they come. The guy, the quarterback play is going to up his value this year.
I mean, I agree with you there. I like JuJu Smith-Schuster here, though.
Well, let me hear why.
So, JuJu Smith-Schuster, everyone knows him. He's a great personality. He loves the game of football, which always helps. And he was highly efficient. He caught 72.5% of his passes and posted a touchdown rate of 8.75%. Yes, it's going to regress, and I'm expecting to keep that up, but I believe he makes for the perfect anti-fragile pick this year. He had 22 points per game without Brown, which was 3 games last year, and it doesn't just end with Brown. Bell also has an injury history, and he's not at training camp right now, so he's more prone to get injured when he starts. Over the past 4 seasons, Bell has averaged 6.8 targets a game, so roughly 108 targets for 16 games. If he's out, more volume goes to JuJu Smith-Schuster. You saw what he did in that preseason game week 1. He mossed the guy and ran to the house 71 yards. And then in 1 game Bell missed last year, JuJu had 10 targets and 29.3 fantasy points. I currently have him as my wide receiver. I think it's like 18, 19 range. And I was usually low on him. But in the 10 games prior to the Brown injury, JuJu averaged 12.6 PPR games. And if you put that on a 16-game pace, that's 201 points, which would have been a 23rd wide receiver. And I think he's at his floor right now because he's going into his 2nd year. And yes, he only had 10 PPR points or more in only 5 of those 10 games with Brown because in the one of them he did go off, which kind of boosted it. But I think if anything were to happen to Brown, you get that cost built into it, and people are trying to fade him in drafts right now. But because of him going off in preseason, his draft price may go higher. So I'm all in on JuJu because he makes for that pick that if anything was to happen to Brown or Bell, he's going to go off. And Big Ben has not historically supported 224 wide receivers, but he's never had a guy like JuJu Smith-Schuster as his wide receiver too. So this is a tough decision draft you're going to have to make.
Did you see that separation you had in that preseason game?
It's crazy. I think what you got to think here is if your roster needs some upside, you take JuJu Smith-Schuster. If it needs some floor, you take Demaryius Thomas. But I'm taking JuJu Smith-Schuster here. I like seeing guys play, and I think he gives you that week winning upside. But if you do draft JuJu Smith-Schuster, please draft for consistency later on, like a guy like Golden Tate if you take him before, a guy like Larry Fitzgerald before, or even later in drafts, you want another wide receiver to pair it that has a good floor. You can get a guy like Michael Crabtree who's going to get some targets, or even Emmanuel Sanders on the same team as Demaryius Thomas with a cheaper option.
Yeah.
So I love JuJu Smith-Schuster here, and I think I'm taking JuJu Smith-Schuster. Who are you taking, Dad?
You
just said that 90 catches to 1,100 yards. Yes. I don't think JuJu's going to get that.
No, I got to take Demaryius Thomas here, Mr. Consistency. With a better quarterback play, he hasn't had a good quarterback since Peyton Manning retired. His numbers been going down. They're going back up this year. I'm taking Demaryius Thomas.
Demaryius Thomas. So let us know in the comments below who you ever have. Make sure you have #subscriberleague in your comment so I can funnel it out. And give the video a like if you made it this far. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitter. It's in the video above. You'll see it. And we have some great podcast episodes coming out. We have a great mock draft episode coming out. Stay tuned for that. We have multiple guests coming on there. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a like. Follow me on Twitter, like I already said. And I hope you guys enjoy.